What's going on, everybody? Lombard here. Welcome back to the Truck Parking Clubhouse. Not my usual backdrop. I'm coming at you from Las Vegas, Nevada. We at Truck Parking Club are at the Manifest Supply Chain Conference. So if you are here, if you're in the Las Vegas area, give myself or give Chris Thomas or any of us a shout as we're out here trying to find more truck parking. Actually, that's exactly what we do and why we come to some of the conferences like this is to talk to all the other links in the chain. Sorry about the little glitch coming on you live, but super stoked. If you haven't checked yet, go 34 minutes ago. Taillights dropped in your inbox. It's a great one this week, kind of peeling back a little bit of the layers of the onion. Had a great submission from Rob Carpenter, contributing writer over at Freight Waves, giving kind of the anatomy of, the some of the bad players out there in the market that we call chameleon carriers. So kind of going into another tragic accident that had happened in Indiana over the last few days. Also, as well as I know we had a big game yesterday, Super Bowl, and just some little fun facts on how freight actually is affected by the Super Bowl, as well as some partner codes. We got a great survey in there and more. Again, we got a big campaign against the mission of helping, making sure drivers aren't, stuck on the on-off ramps. It's been a big campaign we've been talking about lately. But without any further delay, I want to bring on my good friend to the clubhouse this week, Rusty Cross. What's going on, brother?
Man, what's up? How we doing?
Man, we're doing good. All right. Where are you tuning in from?
I am tuning in North Little Rock at the Dollar General Distribution Center.
Oh, let's go. North Little Rock. What's great about coming out to Vegas this year is I had the opportunity to come back over the road. And I've had the itch for some time now. And I rode out with a good friend, Chris Thomas. We rolled through North Little Rock and Little Rock area. It's a good trip from Georgia all the way out to Las Vegas. And so we were there just a couple of days ago. So you're safe. You're parked safely.
Yes. And secured. I've actually got a cop about 100 foot away from me. So they run security all night long with North Little Rock Police.
Let's go. You can't beat that. But
no, you can't beat it at all.
Let's dive right in, man. I'd love to hear the Rusty Cross story. How did you get into trucking?
Man, I actually worked factory life up until I was about 22. Yeah, about 24. I worked factory life. I got tired of the scene. Thought popped in my mind, what can I do that I enjoy? And I always loved driving. So local Pepsi was hiring. They was paying us to get through for our CDL. Started out with them. Me and the boss kind of clashed heads a little bit. So I went back to factory life, and Performance Food Group was hiring with a they hooked you right in the jaw with that $10,000 sign-on bonus. And man, I got started doing that. Absolutely loved the food delivery life. It kept me in shape. No gym, just strictly rolling that product off with a two-wheel dolly. But man, life happens. Become a single dad and got into over the road. I actually homeschooled my son while I was over the road for a little bit until I met my wife. I did over the road for three and a half years, and got to see some beautiful country. And it got to the point that I was chasing money. I was having to run so much and be away from home. Met a guy on TikTok. Well, for one, I'll go back because I met a guy on TikTok that referred me to you guys for truckparkingclub.com. And that's where I got started with you guys, was through his reference. He's like, hey, man, you need to reach out. You need to touch base with him. And at the time, I was completely like some of the people in the comment section against paying for truck parking until I realized what you guys was doing. It wasn't like, Pilot and Petro and all these big names charging for. You're truly going out finding places that are helping us, not just taking our money. We're already spending hundreds of dollars in these truck stops. So once I figured out what you guys was doing, jumped on board there. But it got to the point I was driving 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time to make the money we needed, and met a friend on TikTok. He started sending me pay stubs of Dollar General. And here I am making more money than I've ever made in my trucking career and absolutely loving it.
Man, that's awesome. let's kind of go back. I mean, your first, 3.5 years being over the road, you got your CDL. Were you with the same company that whole time?
I was with the same company. I bounced back and I say I bounced back and forth. I went to I hauled cottonseed is what I did. After I worked for Pepsi, I hauled cottonseed. Well, it got to the point that they were starting to talk over the road. The woman I was with was completely against it, wouldn't have anything, and that was where I ended up going back to factory. But I'd gotten like I don't know, I'd been a boss in the factory so long that when I got back to where I had supervision, I didn't do well with it. I hate admitting that on a platform like this, but I did. I hated the someone breathing down my back at all times instead of being in the truck and doing my own thing. So I ended up going back to that company. I hauled cottonseed for them and then got started over the road and learned I absolutely loved getting to travel the country and getting paid to do so. I always joked, the teachers say we would never get paid to look out a window, and here we are making more money than they make looking out a window.
Hey, that man, that might have to be put on a T-shirt. Yeah, teachers did used to say it. My
They
elementary
sure
school
did,
teachers
man.
would say the same thing. That's it. And hey, man, it's no shame in admitting what you don't like on a platform. I think it's really important for, especially we have a lot of people on Instagram who are newer drivers, newer to the industry. I think one of the biggest things about what's really where I think people run into trouble is trucking isn't one size fits all. Like you could love trucking and hate swinging doors. You
Yeah,
can, and it's just like, and you might hate it. You might need something. All right, maybe you do want to do, you know, for the guys who, I know people who've done, beverage distribution or worked at places like PFG, and they want that physical labor. They want to, be get down and dirty. Some people want to, chain down loads. Some people like the idea of reefer, like finding like that. That's the thing. It's not a one size fits all industry, which is why we come on the clubhouse to tell when it comes to anybody who ever considers leaving it. I mean, if there's a reason people get into it in the first place, and there's something somewhere in this industry, depending on what your personality and what you're kind of interested in for everybody, whether it's
absolutely.
yeah, whether it's driving and beyond. I mean, I can't think we've had a gentleman on the show who's developed his own, trucker buddy is like an AI dispatching. I mean, this guy's a fleet owner operator, driver, fleet owner. He's interested in the tech space, and so he does it, and he does
Yeah,
both. So it's just like there's a place for anybody anywhere.
there really is, man. I mean, like you said, and the pay ranges are different. It's what you're comfortable bringing home, what you need to bring home. But there's so many different tiers. I mean, if you want a home daily job, ABF or, I mean, Swift and JB Hunt now has their locals, where you can still do what you enjoy, but you can still have family life. Or if you don't mind to be gone Monday through Friday. And that's kind of where I was at with Dollar General, because anywhere I work, I mean, you're working 12, 14-hour days. So by the time you get home, you're exhausted. You're either crabby, you eat and you go to bed, take a shower, go to bed. So you really don't get that family time anyway. And that's where, I tell my wife Monday through Friday, I'm gone. I work my butt off. But Friday afternoon, Friday evening, I'm home until Sunday evening or early Monday morning. But there's so many options for anybody and everybody. I mean, you could be like my uncle who was out 6, 7, 8 months at a time and never home. It's what you want to do.
Absolutely, yeah, keeping those options open, and then it's
Yep.
where you live is definitely a factor. I think for anybody listening, if living in the Western 11 is tough. If you're in places like if you're in places like Northern Nevada or the Western 11, once you get west of 35, I mean, it's just the country isn't as dense. So the idea of getting home is often, I mean, it's hard to get home because there's only so much stuff coming to and from certain areas and certain parts.
Yep.
So location is important as well. Kind of going into what you were talking about earlier. It was a friend of yours. I was curious. Yeah, the first time you had heard about Truck Parking Club, somebody had reached out to you on TikTok. I would love to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah, man. I was when I started that trucker supporting truckers. He got on, and I was actually having a conversation with him because I was trying to find a place to park, and he was like, "Hey, man, use this code." He said, "And see if there's a truck parking club close to you." I was headed to Dallas, and there was the one that you guys have in Fort Worth out there by the raceway. I've used that one 2 or 3 times now, and absolutely love it. Because back when I was hauling over the road, they do watermelon farming through early or late summer, and a lot of our loads were going to Dallas. So I had a guaranteed parking spot instead, because we wouldn't get there until 11 o'clock or midnight. And anybody who's been in that Dallas Fort Worth area knows if you're not there by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not getting parking. I mean, there's no way around it. You're just not going to get parking. So having truck parking club in a location, I think y'all was like 3 miles away from where I delivered to. So it was real convenient. That was kind of where he was at. And we got to talking about being like getting into being an affiliate with you guys. And that was when I think you might have actually been the one that reached out to me for becoming an affiliate.
Oh yeah, no, it was certainly me for sure.
Okay. Now I think you're the only one I've ever spoken with from Truck Parking Club.
Well, hopefully won't be the I hopefully won't be the last person, of course. And if you ever have any issues with bookings, we've got 24/7 customer care to help you out. And I know this year it's not going to be the one to make it out to Matt's this year in Louisville, but you get out to Matt's within the next year or two, you get to meet the whole squad.
Heck yeah. Well, we're definitely going to do it. My wife thinks this is absolutely amazing. I that's what whenever I dropped out earlier, I was trying to figure out how to share it out to her. But when I told her I was coming on with you guys tonight, she was all excited about it. She thinks that, within the trucking community and us finding ways to get together and help each other out, she thinks it's pretty cool. I mean, it's neat what social media has come to.
I've said this before when it comes to social media. It's truly a get what you give
Yeah.
type of thing, and we can't put the lid back on Pandora's box with social media. It's unless it unless and I don't see it ever becoming fully outlawed or anything. It would totally destroy businesses, and it's totally
Oh yeah.
revamp marketing. And I'll tell you, just being at this conference too, and it's the same thing at Mid America Truck Show. And this is why I always tell people why it's important to get out to it, especially for drivers in the community. Any truck show really, it could be Matt's, could be Iowa 80. Getting out to those truck shows, and yeah, sure, you're not driving, you're not making money, you get it, but what it is it's a long term investment in your network, one, and your
Absolutely.
mental health. Community is important, and I'd say one of our biggest goals at Truck Parking Club is to foster a community behind this mission and this brand. And community, I'm active in the fitness space as you see, and community is what always challenges me to get better at whatever it is I'm doing fitness
Yep.
wise. And this is when I was over the road, and now it's the same thing in trucking. These events like the manifest conference we're at, everybody here is really, people are looking to be having conversations. And at the truck shows, drivers are
Yep.
the same way. And when you have conversations with different drivers, number one, you get a little bit of validation of you guys are in the same, you're in the same fight, you're in the same role and position, but you have had different experiences, and it just helps you. And just what it does for the brain is it's worth taking the 2 days off the road to come out and do that. And it motivates you to get back out there and just keep doubling down on what you're doing.
Shoot, yeah.
I want to
Yeah,
give
see,
a
I got
big
I got little kids, so I've got two little girls and a son. Which my son was the one that I had in. That was actually one of our first stops, was the Iowa 80 truck stop. I had never been, and me and him went together. So that is one that we've discussed as a family going to whenever they do the truck show, is going to the Iowa 80. So we'll probably catch you out there for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Want to give a quick shout out to all the guys jumping on here. Josh jumping in. Josh, another guy. We got to get Josh back on the clubhouse soon too. Trucker Todd gonna be your turn soon. Trucker Todd's gonna be the Mid America Truck Show. We're looking forward to it. Larry on Facebook. Appreciate you guys jumping in on the clubhouse, tuning in. Let us know where you're dropping in from. kind of branching off that with it. Yeah, again with trucking, you've got kids. The life what you do in trucking, you got to make sure it serves your family first, without a doubt. But it's community is really important when it comes to what we're doing here. We do these live streams to get your experience out there. And speaking of your experience, when it comes to when it comes to parking in general, I'd love to know. I mean, we know that there's a truck parking shortage in this country. What was kind of your, I guess, a scenario, or I'd love to hear the first time, you discovered us, by a friend giving you, one of their, a promo code to use to find a spot. But any other times you've had problems, finding truck parking, especially when you first came out here?
All the time, all the time. I actually got to the point I would run overnight instead of during the day so that I was guaranteed truck parking, and it was miserable. It was an adjustment. I didn't mind driving nighttime just because of the traffic, but it it wasn't me. It wasn't something I enjoyed. So when I would plan my routes, I would start early. Like I'd only drive 8 or 9 hours a day, so that cut into my paycheck. But I would do that so that I knew I had parking, because certain areas, you know, you're like kind of like you said, you're stuck on an off ramp, and I'm not a big fan of parking on off ramps personally. So, um, yeah,
So you've had to park on some on off ramps before.
I have a couple times and didn't get much rest. Or the
Yeah,
truck parking that I could find was because everybody knew better, and you had every Tom, Dick, and Harry, knocking on your door trying to make a buck, wash your windshield, and you never knew what was. So you couldn't sleep. But the off ramp sucked. I mean,
yeah,
I've heard horror stories. We just had one not long ago out here in Arkansas. Actually killed a man, and now the trucker's in trouble. And they're going after him, and that could have been any of us out here, because I know I'm not. There's a lot of us who have to park on the off ramp at times, which working at Dollar General, that really comes in handy, because if there's a Dollar General, I can park there. But I still have days like, I leave early and I've still got extra time and I want to take a nap. I'm still stuck parking on an off ramp to take a nap.
yeah. No, I think when it comes to the on off ramp parking in general, I think I've had to do it twice, that I can
Oh
think
man,
of, where it was tough, and one of them was for really bad weather in Texas. But again, you're not even getting you're virtually not getting any sleep on an on off ramp. And I think people, because of people whooshing by, cars going by, the truck moves.
truck moves
Um,
and every time it moves, you're jumping.
yeah,
I
you're
am.
going off because you get, or yeah, and a cop can wake you up. I mean, a whole bunch of things can happen. So it's not even just the fact that the truck's parked unsafe. It's just the quality of sleep of the operator who's on that on off ramp is also really bad. And unbroken sleep, and broken sleep, poor quality sleep is, it's a safety issue compounded with it.
It is.
But besides parking, I'd love to hear, what's another issue in this industry? What would you say is your number one issue in this industry? Something you wish you could change? If you could, you change it right now, or something you think the industry needs to work on or pay attention to more.
I think it's the pay. I mean, there's a reason I'm with Dollar General, and for the fact that I can be home every week, and you've got guys who are out 3, 4, 5 weeks at a time, sometimes months at a time, and it's the pay's not there. The pay's not right for our drivers, for those who are leaving their families behind, who are putting their lives at risk every day. And some people laugh at us for talking about putting our lives on the line, but every time we get behind that steering wheel, we never know what's going on. Our job is to watch the vehicles around us, but we can't always do so, and we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And what we're getting paid, or what over the road drivers are getting paid, it's not even worth it hardly anymore, or anywhere that I looked, it wasn't worth it.
So driver pay, number one,
Yep.
would need to be, that's kind of your number one concern.
But
I'd say, I mean, it remains a American Transportation Research Institute. That's the top issue for years on end with what driver pay is.
yep.
And I mean, yeah, the idea, the safety thing, it's also, again, you're absolutely right. It's a top 10 most dangerous
Yeah.
job in the country. It does lead to, I want to say per year, I think in 2024 alone, there's over 150,000, big truck accidents.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a lot. And I think the data shows, and this is something I was really active with an organization called CDLDU a couple of years ago. The FMCSA data shows that it is more than 50% of crashes involving commercial vehicles is at the fault of the four wheeler, the passenger vehicle. So it's not predominantly the fault of the truck itself. So it is a risk that
Yeah.
we're taking.
Yep. And everybody talks about the I-40. And now that I'm working here out of North Little Rock, I'm driving I-40 almost every stinking day between North Little Rock and Memphis, Tennessee. And there's a lot of wrecks that happen. That stretch of road right there, there's a lot of fatalities. And everybody goes to blaming the trucks, blaming the semi driver. I mean, that's just an automatic thing that pops in people's mind. But as I'm driving these roads and I'm watching, it's everybody's in a rush. Everybody's in
Mhm.
a rush to get everywhere. We're limited at 70, speed limit 75, but trucks are limited to 70. So we're already having to go slower. I'm in a 68-mile-an-hour governed truck, so I'm going even slower than that. And these people are just whipping in, whipping out, and it's caused traffic jams. I've watched it over and over and over again. And I think it's sad that we've gotten to that point that everybody, you hear a fatality and it's automatically the driver, the truck driver, the semi driver. And in reality, what I'm seeing, what I'm watching while I'm on this stretch of road, it's the idiots driving the four wheelers.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think I tell
Maybe
this
I
story
shouldn't have
quite.
said it like that, but I
Oh
mean,
no,
just
no, man. This is why we do the clubhouse, because what drivers are saying is the most important. It's why I think more drivers always need to be making content. It's why I still do. I mean, we have the clubhouse. I still do my podcast show to talk to drivers because I mean, this industry there's a lot of people who talk in it. We
yes,
talk. I think drivers will say a lot that, and mostly agree that there isn't a very there's not a strong collective voice for drivers out in the industry, and there's a bunch of reasons for that. But there can be, I think, what can be part of the voice is through content and doing this and getting on the record what drivers are actually thinking and saying.
yes,
Out there for the rest of the industry to see. So, and I tell you, with the four wheelers, I tell this all the time. I'll never forget being up and we used to deliver and take something out of, not the port of Newark, another place in New Jersey, um, where we had taken something out of there, and driving on like the Jersey Turnpike, you will see somebody with Dunkin' Donuts coffee in one hand, cell phone in the other. Like, you can see them down, just freaking whipping on the Jersey Turnpike, and that is not just a one time. That is like everybody out
yep,
there
yep.
going through. And now, speaking of content, two questions I got left for you. I'd love to hear, because I think we're making content right now. I mean, something got you into trucking. What inspired you to start making content?
Uh, my wife, she started doing it, and I've had Facebook. I've done Facebook and posted pictures of the kids, the family, keep family updated. Well, we got into. We also run a ministry on TikTok. It's called Crosses for Christ Ministries. We got into that. Well, I started posting a little bit of truck driving, and I noticed the whole dad supporting dads, mom supporting moms, and I was like, you know what? Why don't we do truckers supporting truckers? Because I hadn't really seen anybody, and I built my following from I had like 4,000, 5,000 followers. Now I'm up to almost 14,000, and I'd say out of the 14, I've probably got about 8 or 9,000 people that are truck drivers. So my new when I do get on TikTok, my feed is people, whether they're driving out on I-80 and showing all the snow, the ice, the blizzards coming through, or they're down in Florida taking pictures out by the beach as they're driving around. I mean, it's it's become something. It's more of a mental thing for me. I don't know if you've ever seen on TikTok, but I do deal a lot with mental health because I used to struggle with mental health, and I got away from it for a little bit. I got caught up in the whole TikTok shop trying to make money, and kind of lost sight of the mental health. And I'm trying to get back in that rhythm, but I think the mental health, like it has helped me. It's given me something to do instead of being down for 10 hours and having 10 hours to think. Now I've got something to do. I've got a place to go. If I'm having a bad day, I can post something, and I'm not the only one having a bad day. So there's no telling who I'm going to talk to, or they're going to help me. I'm going to help them. And that's what I'm loving about this is how you're talking about building a community. Is we're not alone in this. I'm not. I know what the mental struggle is being over the road, and I know there's hundreds of other drivers. That's the reason suicide rate in truckers is so high. But if we get real, we get raw, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is maybe I need to tell my backstory and be a little bit more raw so others will see. We're not in this alone. We're a brotherhood and a sisterhood, and that's what it could be if we would allow it to be as such. And that's where I'm at on the social media. That's what's really caught my attention is just being able to be there for others and them help me out as well.
It's important you say that because a lot of times, once again, kind of like how the news always paints a truck accident as, the big truck's fault. When we talk about social media, we a lot of times in the news we'll talk about what it's done against mental health in a lot of ways. And I know that argument with polarizing content, manufactured outrage on whatever's going on and whatever media, culture, politics. It does have an effect on people's kinds of mood or train of thought. But
Yeah.
again, there's a whole other coin to it where it has, again, I've developed friendships with some of the greatest people, especially truck drivers, because of TikTok, because of Twitter, like lifelong friends. I've gotten brokers in touch with carriers and vice versa, and it's how I've been able to introduce people with each other who have been able to help. And in that end, at the just talking about the bottom line, it's been a I'd say it's been a net benefit to my mental health in
I bet it
other
has.
ways, because it's get what you give. And so when you're out there on social media telling your story, connecting with people, and using it for its intended purpose of social, it's a media, but there's a social aspect to it.
Yep.
There's a lot of positives and good takeaways from it. So that's awesome that you're doing that, and that's how what drove you to make some content.
Yes.
Last question I got for you, because I know I want to give you back the rest of your night because you're getting ready to get back after it in the morning. But if you could give one piece of advice to if somebody's either just starting out, they're in CDL school, or they just started driving, what would be the Rusty Cross words of wisdom
Get a
that you?
CB radio.
Yes,
Get
I had
a
a
CB radio. A lot of times, and I've got one in my truck. I have it turned on, and I hear absolutely no chatter. But it really is. Don't go to your first job and give up trucking because you don't like what you're doing. As we talked about in the first part of it, you don't like dry vans, so go try reefer. If you don't like reefer, go try flatbed. There's so many different jobs that you can try before you just give up and go back to the factory life. Or I know a lot of us can't afford living flipping burgers at McDonald's, but still, don't give up. I mean, try a couple things before you call it quits. Because had I not called it quits, I'd have had 8.5 years under my belt instead of 7.5 years under my belt.
Absolutely. So yeah, get a CB radio. Can also very much agree with that. We had a quiet ride all the
I'll
way
bet
down
you
40.
did.
I was trying to yap with some people and talk, and I mean it's either, and you could see some guys, you could see the cord dangling, but they must have it turned off. Some of them must have it turned off because they think that nobody's listening or nobody's out there. And yeah,
Yep.
definitely sticking with it, staying within the industry, whatever it might be. I'll tell you, when I switched from dry van into doing open deck stuff, you don't have shippers and receiver problems. sometimes you could wait a little bit at ports and stuff like at Baltimore, Dundalk, but when it comes to delivering, I mean, it's on you how fast you want to get out of there, how fast
Heck yeah.
you untarp or unchain, and the people are normally nothing's expedited. So anywhere you're going, whether it's loading or unloading, nobody's giving you a hard time. They'll let you use the bathroom. So I mean, there's a different avenue and ways to piece it up. So get a CB radio and explore all options on it. Man,
Yeah.
I do appreciate. Yes, Josh is saying we turned it down a little bit because of idiots with base camps. Is
Oh
what he
man,
says.
yeah, you get out in Colorado and they're all over the place. That was to the point when I was out in the mountains in Colorado, mine got shut off because of mud duck. Was that what he was going by, mud duck?
Oh yeah, mud duck in the desert,
Oh
man.
my
Las
gosh, man,
Cruces, which
drove
you
me crazy.
which you can hear. I have heard mud duck in Washington. I've heard him in Southern California. I've heard him all the way down. I delivered a load to Marathon, Florida, Florida Keys, and I've heard him up in Maine and Minnesota. So whether you are at the border on the Keys, you're close to Canada border. No matter, I've heard mud duck everywhere in the United States, and
I felt that.
yeah, so that the base camps get people get it. But hey, man, I do appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to having you on soon. We'll circle back in a couple months, get a little update. We'll dive more into. I'd love to talk more and break down some Dollar General and stuff. You like working for them. We love highlighting good companies to drive for. And for everybody else who tune in to the Clubhouse, number one. So Rusty created a social media page, Truckers Helping Truckers. He's all about helping other drivers out there. He's a gentleman who wants to help leave this industry better than he found it. That is exactly what our goal and mission is at Truck Parking Club. We do that by helping truckers save time and fuel by efficiently reserving truck parking all across the country. And if you need truck parking tonight, again, you can use that promo code TST20 for $20 off your next booking. But with that, guys, we are out of here. Stay safe. Have a great week. Hammer down.